Welcome to episode 208 of the Fully In It podcast. Okay, real talk. Do you struggle with negativity or a lack of contentment? Do you find yourself thinking that if only this or that would happen, then you could be happier and enjoy your life more? What I want to share with you in this episode is that the secret to being happier in motherhood and every area of your life, no matter your circumstances. If you're intrigued and you would love to have more fulfilling and joyful days, listen to this episode, try the tips I'm going to recommend, and just see how it changes your life. Welcome to the Fully In It podcast with Kate Saffel, a show for powerful moms growing life-changing businesses while showing up intentionally for their families. I teach you how to create a family-first and profitable business in less time by leveraging simple strategy, mom life-friendly systems, and above all, the mindset of going fully in it. You ready? When I was a young mom, I really struggled with negativity. It impacted every area of my life, and it was something that I really wasn't aware of. I just thought that the thoughts that I had were fact, that my house wasn't good enough, that my marriage wasn't going well, that my kids were frustrating, that my life was just overwhelming. Like, I took those thoughts as fact and I believed them. And consequently, it impacted my life. It impacted my enjoyment of my children and my husband and my home. And it had me chasing things that really didn't matter. And as I began pursuing personal development in motherhood, right, with little kids, I began learning that your mindset isn't fixed, that you can feel happier, that even if your life circumstances don't change, you can be content and you can enjoy your life and have satisfaction and gratitude and joy. And I really wanted those things, and I was willing to change to make it happen. And so the first thing that I did was I hired a life coach. And I've shared this on the podcast before. I was just so desperate for help. And there was a woman I followed on Instagram who was part of the tiny home movement. And, we were part of that as well. And the minimalism movement and all of that, a long time ago. And I knew she was a life coach. And I wondered if she could help me. There was a part of me, though, that was like, oh, this is like scammy. Like, what if she scams me? What if she takes my money and I never hear from her again? But that didn't happen. And my kids were so little at the time and I didn't have childcare. And so sometimes when I had a call with her, I would just drive around with my car and they would take their naps and it was just what I had to do. But it made such a difference because she helped me to move out of this victim mentality that I had been stuck in, and to really take ownership of my life and my days with my family. She empowered me to change, and that completely transformed my life. And so hiring her, then clarifying my purpose as a mother and a woman, and then finally changing my mindset were the keys to feeling happier in motherhood. And it really has changed my life. That was when I started my business, I started my podcast, and I was able to then pour into other women because I was feeling better, right? So I wasn't giving my family my scraps anymore. I wasn't miserable. And ultimately it meant I was able to live into a greater purpose in the world. And so if that speaks to you, if you see in yourself that you could be a bit happier, that life could be better without changing your circumstances. If you feel like you have a purpose in you that isn't completely fulfilled yet, then you are in the right place. And I am living proof that it can all change very quickly. I would say within about a year, my life was rapidly different. And it was just because I did the work of hiring a coach, figuring out my purpose and pursuing it, right? Motherhood being my purpose, but also I wanted to serve in the world and I wanted to make an impact, and then finally changing the mindset. Now, on today's episode, we are going to focus on mindset. And the next week's episode will be on your life purpose. And if by the end of this episode, you know that you need help implementing these changes, you are ready to change, I'm going to share more about a new life coaching opportunity with me and how you can take the next step. So let's talk about how your brain actually works, because your brain is so cool. It is like a computer inside of your head. And every day you are thinking thoughts that are from your default programming. 95% of what you think regularly is ingrained, meaning it's almost like a software program that is just running without you even being aware. And this 95% is set by the age of 35. Now, when I first heard this fact, I was blown away because I think at the time I was right around 35. And so I was like, oh my goodness, I have to figure this out. I only have 5% of intentional thoughts to work with, but you can do a lot with that 5%, that 5%, especially when you become aware of the other 95. Because again, most of the time we're not aware of it. And these thoughts are a mix of what you were taught as a child, whether it was explicitly taught or implicitly, like implied, and beliefs that you have also intentionally chosen to take on as an adult. In other words, you are living inside a fishbowl of your own thoughts and perception and beliefs, ideas. That's the water that you are swimming in on a daily basis. You have to get out of the fishbowl. That is the only way. You got to get out of the fishbowl. You got to empty the water and then you refill it, and that changes your life, because you could be swimming in totally different thoughts and perceptions and beliefs and have a different take on your life. It's not too late to change things. It's not too late to feel better. But the only way you're going to get out of this bowl is by first being willing to change. So I'm going to ask you, are you willing to change? When I ask that, what comes up for you? Is it a little bit of fear? Is it self-doubt because you've tried before and it wasn't as easy as you had hoped it would be? Do you believe that you need to change? So there's two ways of seeing the world. There's a growth mindset and fixed mindset, and I'm sure you've heard both of these before. A growth mindset is one in which you think flexibly. You're open to new ideas and change. A fixed mindset is where you only see yourself, your home, your life, the world through one narrow channel, and you are not open to change. And if you ever go like on Instagram or any kind of social media, I don't go, goodness gracious, I don't go on X, but I hear stories of the ways people communicate because they are so ingrained in their belief system, they absolutely cannot see the world any other way. And they're willing to berate and beat other people up who don't hold the same belief as them, who don't think the same way. But again, if you remember what I said just a moment ago, we are all the product of where we grew up. So geographically, what culture you grew up in, what country you're from, what your family culture was like, where you went to school, different types of schools, and the ideologies that you were taught. So as you can imagine, we're not going to all believe the same, right? There's a lot of diversity in our world. And so I want you to think about, which one are you? Are you a growth mindset or are you fixed mindset? Here's how you identify which one you are. If you wake up each day and you are open to the possibilities, you feel gratitude for what you have, you're generally content. This doesn't mean you don't have a bad day every once in a while, but bad days are not your norm. You love learning. You're open to feedback from others, and you see in yourself ways that you would like to grow and change, then you definitely have a growth mindset. But if you wake up each day in a poor mood, you struggle to make the changes in your life you need to make, you get frustrated or overwhelmed easily, you think you aren't enough or that your life isn't good enough, you get offended easily by what others say to you or think of you, you don't think you need to change. These are all signs that you are in a fixed mindset. Now, the good news is that you can change your mind by intentionally deciding that it's worth it and that you are willing to change. So if you feel that inside of yourself right now and you want to continue with me, let's do this work together, because I know it's going to make such a difference for you. So the most important way to change how you feel on a daily basis is to build awareness around the kind of thoughts that you are having. And then ultimately we want to change those thoughts. We want to move away from the ones that are causing you discomfort in your life and move towards the kind of intentional, purposeful thoughts that make up the kind of woman and kind of mother you want to be, right? One of my favorite exercises in coaching is to ask a client, like, what is it you actually want in life? Like, tell me what your vision is. What matters to you? How do you want home life to be? Like, what do you see in the future? Like any variety of those kind of questions to get to the root of like what actually matters most to her. And she'll tell me. And it's this beautiful vision of what she wants for her family and for herself and how she wants to see herself, the habits she wants to change, how she wants to move through the world. And then I will ask her, who do you need to be to create this? And wow, that's a powerful question, because the truth is the who that you're being right now is what is getting you your current results. It's getting you the days that feel hard. It's getting you the home that feels messy. It's getting you to not have a workout habit that you consistently do, or a marriage that feels tough. And so we get clear on what is it you actually want? What are those outcomes you desire? And then who do you need to be? How would you think? How would you feel? What kind of actions would you take? And through those purposeful questions and identifying what it would be, you start to implement it every day. And you create that change, and you keep doing it, and you keep doing it, and then you become a new person. You're still you. You're the best of you, but you're no longer held back by these negative beliefs and poor habits that have been affecting you your whole adult years. You get to become who you've always wanted to be. So we have to become clear on what it is that you're thinking every day. Like, are you thinking how hard motherhood is? Are you focused on your kids' misbehavior or what your husband isn't getting right? Are you beating yourself up? You may want to write some of these thoughts down if anything comes to mind, because your thoughts show the foundation of your brain and what you believe to be true. Now, some women have trouble identifying their thoughts. It just may be something you don't think about consistently. It's not kind of funny. You don't think about it. You don't think about your thoughts. If you're not like really tuned in, it may be difficult. But you know what you can do is you can look at your emotions. How do you feel on a daily basis? Are you feeling overwhelmed, frustrated, pessimistic, doubtful, angry, resentful, or in lack? This tells you, it gives you kind of an indicator of what your mental landscape is like on a daily basis. What you can do is you can take, if there's an emotion that you feel every day, like let's say you feel overwhelmed, you could ask yourself, what am I believing that's creating this feeling of overwhelm? What is happening? And get really curious about it. Because again, with a growth mindset, we're curious. We want to know. We want to figure this out. And then once you have an idea of what these thoughts are, you begin to rewrite them on a daily basis. And ultimately, this rewires your brain. You start creating neural pathways. Now, neural pathways are in your brain, right? It's where the thoughts travel and they become so rutted and grooved. And so you get really, stuck thinking the same thoughts over and over again. It's kind of like if your car went off the road and you got got the wheel stuck in the ditch and you're like trying really hard to get out. That's kind of what this is like. But the good news is you can build a whole new neural pathway next to the old one because the brain is so adaptable. And the more that you traverse this new neural pathway, it strengthens it and it becomes your new normal way of thinking. Like, how cool is that? And again, like I said, I really saw that in my own life because I was so pessimistic. I was so easily frustrated and negative. And I was able to change it in about a year. And the quality of my life just went through the roof. And I'm so grateful I did it because it helped me have a better relationship with my children, to really enjoy motherhood, and to just have a more satisfying, more intimate, closer relationship with my husband. And ultimately also with myself, right? Like I learned to like myself again. I learned to think better thoughts about myself. And that gave me the confidence to then build the business and do all the things that I have since done. So when you have a thought that's really persistent, that isn't one that you want to hold, you need to rewrite it. One of my favorite things to do is just write it down in a notebook and ask yourself, is this 100% true? Is it? Most likely it is not. And ask yourself why it's not 100% true. Write down the evidence. Your brain will start giving you reasons why that tough, tricky belief isn't actually true. And you can even ask yourself, could the opposite of this be true? So for example, let's say you have a thought like, motherhood is so hard and this will never get better. And just you move through your day, right? The kids make a mess. You're like, oh, motherhood is so hard. This is so hard. Your kitchen, gets full of dirty dishes. You're facing all these challenges and you're just like, oh, this is so hard. This is so hard. This is so hard. You just keep repeating that to yourself. So you would write that thought down and ask yourself, is this 100% true? Now, what may happen if you're curious and you're open is your brain may find an example of a time recently it actually wasn't hard, where your day went pretty smoothly and the kids were really fun to be with and you kept up on the house and, everything felt like it went pretty smoothly. Now, when you're stuck in those negative thoughts and you keep giving them power, you have a really hard time seeing the evidence of the good. It's almost like your brain overlooks it. It's this confirmation bias. But when you start to intentionally look for it, you'll start to see things are better than you realized. And then the next question you can ask is, could the opposite of this thought be true? What if motherhood's actually easy? Wow. That's a mind-blowing thought. Like, what? Motherhood easy? I'm sure if you spend any time on social media, you see all of the posts about like how hard motherhood is and just how, we got to drink wine so that we can get through the day, or we got to have our mommy juice, our coffee, or whatever our coping mechanisms. I see women, I just saw this recently on Substack, women just beating up on their husbands, saying hurtful things about their children publicly, criticizing their home. And I just think, wow, they must really be hurting inside to be publicly sharing this. But as a culture, we have normalized putting down motherhood. We have normalized focusing on the hard and not looking for ways that it could actually be more peaceful, smoother, more joyful, easier, right? Those are possibilities too. When I got curious and I looked for it, I found it. And it made me a much happier motherhood. So you want to look for that too, and see if it's possible that motherhood could actually be easier. And then whatever your thought is, like you may have a collection of thoughts that just are persistent. You're going to want to work through these with this example that I gave. And then you're going to start feeling new emotions on purpose. So you think about, how would I actually like to feel on a daily basis? Would you like to feel calm, peaceful, joyful, grateful, happy, playful? Like there's so many emotions that could be fun. For me, for years, it was adventurous. I was tired of being the boring mom, just sitting at home and my kids would ask to do things and I'd say no. And I was like, I want to be adventurous mom. Like I want to feel adventurous, meaning like I grab my kids and we go and we do something really fun. So think about what emotions you want to feel on a daily basis and start feeling these on purpose. Did you know you can feel an emotion intentionally. Like, you can hold it in your mind. I want to feel joyful. And then you start remembering times you felt joyful, and you start expanding the way that emotion feels in your body. And you can shift your emotional landscape. You actually are that powerful. So the final thing I want you to think about is, what are your inputs? When I began doing this work, I changed what I was consuming on a daily basis. I stopped consuming mom content that talked about how hard it was. I avoided that kind of stuff. I looked for women who were positive, who had good things to say about home life and motherhood and their husbands. I listened to podcasts and books that helped me feel like more was possible for my family and I. I wanted the inputs of people who were successful and joyful and grateful. I did not want the input of people who were negative and in a state of lack and believed they couldn't change their mind. Ultimately, I looked for growth mindset content versus fixed mindset content. And the fact that you're listening to my podcast tells me, right, you are open to consuming positive content that helps you change your life. Another thing I did was I just watched what I said to other people, and I didn't say things that reflected a mindset I didn't want to hold. I was careful about what I said about myself or my kids or my home or my husband. I began saying more positive things on purpose. And I began a daily gratitude journaling practice to help me feel more joyful and appreciative of what I already had. And I would make sure to reflect on each member of my home. Like, I would think about each of my children. I'd think about my husband. I'd think about my home. And I would keep writing my gratitude until I actually felt grateful in my body. And I'd feel that emotional shift. Now, if you do all of this that I'm recommending for 30 days, or even better, 90, you will see your life begin to change and you will feel happier. Your days will get easier. You'll be focused on the good and not the hard, and your brain will begin rewiring into more helpful neural pathways. But you have to trust this process. You have to be committed to change and open to it. And if you don't want to do this work alone, but you would like my help, you want the help of another mom who has walked this path, I have good news. I'm opening up 4 life coaching spots to start in August or September this year. And when we work together, I'll help you lean into your strengths to create a vision for yourself and your family that actually matters to you and reflects your values. And we'll come up with a simple plan to move you toward the home and family life that you truly want. We'll also overcome all the obstacles that are currently slowing you down and stressing you out. So from balancing everything on your plate, troubleshooting parenting and home life, and creating new life-changing habits for yourself, I will help you navigate it all with more ease. I'll teach you simple mindset techniques, habit building, and overall life strategies to fast track you to the home and the days that you want. So by the time we're done coaching together, you can't believe how different your life feels. If that speaks to you and you want to learn more and see if it's right for you, head to happierinmotherhood.com. Click on Work With Me, then Life Coaching for Moms. Or you can use the link that's in the show notes and then book a free consult call with me, and we can talk about what's happening in your life and a simple plan to move you toward what you actually desire. But don't stay stuck, right? Don't stay stuck in the negativity. You can truly enjoy your life and live a life of purpose and have the family life you dream of. It is 100% possible for you. Okay, I hope this episode was so helpful. Thank you so much for being here with me, and I will see you next week.